Assalamu alaikum. Hello everyone. This is Ahmed Saeed. We will continue with the session in our 65 Finance and Operation Reports Development. We talked in previous session about the reports and the reports structure and the elements which should be or could be used in the reports. Today we will start in our first report to design report using a query. Suppose now we have a simple report. In this report, we just need a simple information for the sales and the invoices which is generated for the customers. And this is the information is required to be generated through the system and displayed on the report. So we have here the customer account and the customer name and sales ID, invoice ID, invoice date, and invoice amount. In our simple report here, we will start with using a query to generate this report. So we have to make analysis for this report. What is the data sources should be used on our query to display this data. So we have to navigate to the system to get all the invoices for the customers. We can go to inquiries and reports, and we have here this tab or submenu which called invoices, and we have here invoice journal. If we navigate to the invoice journal, we will find all the invoices related to the customers. And let's check the information which need to be included in the report. We have here the invoice ID, we have here the invoice account, which is a customer account, and we have the name, which is a customer name, we have the sales order and the date. And also we have the invoice amount. So all the required information existing in this form. We have to know all the data sources for this form to be included in our query. So we can go to form, right click and the form information and go to form name here. And here we have here this query statement. This query will include all the data sources which be used or which we could be used on our report. So if we copy this query and go to in a notepad and paste it here, let's check together what is the tables exist here. We have here the custom virtual. This table is the main table which include all the main information for the invoices, and we have here the cost table which includes the information for the customer, and also we have the dead part table which includes the customer name. So first of all, we determine the tables which will be existing in our query. So so let's continue with our analysis. We got all the tables which will be used in our query. Let's now to check the elements which will be used in our report. We have, as we mentioned, we have here a mandatory elements or the main elements which would be used in our report. We have here the report, so we will use this element and output menu item. We will use it also, and here we have the privilege and the rule. So in data source, we have to have one data source to be included in our report to get all the information and all the data which will be displayed. We agreed that in our session today we will use the query. So here in data sources, we will use the query. So now we have all the elements, we have all the tables which will be used in our report. Let's start with building our query. Now we created a project in Visual Studio and rename this project and make it a report. Okay, let's start with adding the query. So here we will add new item, and here we will select the query from data model, and let's check. Let's start with our query. So our query, let's say it will be sales invoices query, and let's add it. Now once we added our query, we have to know all the data sources, and we already have in our hand all the tables which will be used as a data source. But we have to determine the main table, because in our data source for the query we have to start with the main table and the subsidiary tables in our query. So here we have three tables. The first table is a cost invoice jour, and this table include all the information for the invoices. And we have the cost table, which have the information for the customer, and we have the debit table, which includes the customer name. So here in our case, the main table will be the cost table because the relation between the cost table and the cost invoice jour is one to many, and the main table here will be cost table because one customer maybe have many invoices in cost invoice jour. So here in Visual Studio on our query, let's start. We will add new data source, and here we will start to include our table. Our table here will be cost table. And here in dynamics field which will be selected, we have to make it yes or no. But if we make it no, we have to determine all the fields required. So we'll make it yes for now. And inside this data source, we will include the other data sources. So we have here also the cost invoice jour, the second table which will be included in our query. So we have to add this table. And also we will make it yes to select all the fields. And here we have the join mode will make it inner join, and we should be aware about the join mode. We have inner join. System will just include or generate the report for only the customer which have invoices. If we need to include or generate all the customer, even the customer doesn't have any invoices, we can make it outer join. So we'll just keep it inner join. We have here a property which called use relations. If we use this property, it will use the standard relation between the cost invoice jour and the sales the cost table. So if we go to this table, for example, to check the relation, we will find here in relations, and let's check the relation with the customer. We have this relation between the cost table and the cost invoice jour. If we make it use relation, it will use this relation. And also we have a feature to add our own relation if we didn't need to use the standard relation. So here, let's start with create our relation in the query. So here we will select the main data source, which will be the cost table, and we'll select from this data source, we will select the account num, and here the related table with the related field which will be exist in the custom invoice jour also will be the order account. Now we added the relation, and also here we will add the third data source, which will be the debit table, which includes the customer name. So here, let's start here also to add the debit table. And also we'll select it and we'll keep it in our journal. But here let's use the existing relation. Now our query is ready. Our query will added all the required tables in our query, so we can use this query in our report. Now let's add the report to our project. So here we will add a report here, new item, and we have here the reports. We'll select our report and let's make it sales voices reports, and let's add it. So this is a report which will be the main element, which includes the dataset and includes the design which will be shown to the customer or the user once he generated the report. So here in the data source, we just have one data source which will be the query. Let's save the query. And here if we right click, new dataset, as we explained in our first session, if we go to data source type, we have here query and also we have data provider. So we'll start with query. And here let's change the name to be invoices. And here in the query, let's start to navigate to our query. Let's search for our query sales invoice query. This is the query which we created. We will hit next. I believe here we missed something in our query, so let's check it. So in our query here in the report table, dynamics fields, we have to select an option here. It will be yes because we didn't have fields here. So let's save and get or select our query again. Sales invoice query and next. Now this is our query and this is all the tables existing on the query and all the fields. Let's select the fields which we need. We will just need here, for example, the account number from cast table. And here in the cast invoice jour, let's check all the fields. We have here the invoice ID and also let's check the other information and select all the required fields. We need also the sales ID and we need the invoice amount and the invoice date. So we have here the invoice amount and also we have the invoice date and we have the invoice ID. I believe we selected the invoice ID. And from the third party table, we just need the name. So here from all fields, we will just take the name and press OK. Now we selected all the required fields in our dataset which called invoices. So in the design, we have two types of the designs. We have auto design and we have the precision design. We'll start with in this series or some videos with the auto design, and later on we'll check the precision design, how we can control or have full control for that design. So we'll just start with auto design. We'll select our data set and drag and drop it here in the invoices. And here we will just check the name to just be auto design. And here we have some selection here. Let's start to select, for example, here report layouts template, and also let's expand here. And in the invoice table we have here uh, all the properties which could be used. So here also we have the style template. We have some options here. I will select it to be table style template. We can navigate or change this property and check the best one and use it. We'll change it to be this. And also we have here a title. In the title we can add a title for the report, any title we need. So now, suppose our report is ready. We prepared the query and we generate the report and add the query to the report. So let's start with our other elements. So to display this report to a user, we have to create a menu item, output menu item to include the report. So here we will press add and we'll select from here user interface. We will select output menu item. So the output menu item is used for the reports. So here let's rename it to be sales invoice sales and add. So here we will add a label. So this will be sales invoices, and also we will go to the object. We have here the object type. We will change it to B report, SSRS report, and here we will select the object to be our report sales invoice reports, which we just created. And here we, as we can see here, we have it by default. It gets the design which already exists in the report. If we have many designs in the report, we can easily navigate or select any design we need. Now we created our output menu item to display this report. Let's suppose we will display this report in account receivable module. So in user interfaces we have here menus, and we have here account receivable module, and we will create extension from it. And here in this module, under inquiries and reports, under customers or customers invoice related, we will add our menu here, menu item here, we will add it. And the last thing here, we have to create a privilege and a rule for our report. So here, let's add the privilege. So from security, we will add a privilege here to just include the report to be able to assign this privilege to the rule, and the rule to assign this rule to any user which we need to add this report to this user. So we will rename the privilege to be sales invoices privilege, and inside the privilege in the entry point, we will just drag and drop the sales invoice menu item, and here in the access level, we will make it delete to have full control in this menu item. And the last thing here, we have to add the rule which will include this privilege. So it will be here. We will rename this rule to be sales invoices rule, and inside this rule we will just drag and drop the privilege. Now our report is ready to be shown or display on the system. As we saw here, we selected in our elements. This is the elements which should be used in our scenario here, on our example here. And if we go to Dynamics, Visual Studio, we will find all the elements which we marked is already here. So we have to build the project, and after build the project, we have to make deploy for the report. So here, once we build the project, we will deploy the report to be able to see this report on our system. Once we build and deploy the report, we can go to the system and go to account receivable, and under the invoices we will find our report here, which called invoices. If we press on this one, report, it will open this menu, which includes the menu item. And if we press OK, it will start to generate our report. And as we can see here on the report, we have uh, the layout, which include the information which we need. But here, as we can see, the sort of the columns, it's different from the requirement. And also, I believe we missed the customer name. So we can easily go to the report once again in the Visual Studio, and press here and press next. And once again, we have all the data sources and we have all the fields. Let's go to the dev party and get the name, but this name doesn't show there. So let's press OK. Yes, we have missed here. We just selected from all fields group. We have to select it from all fields. So we'll select the name and press OK. It will restore the dataset again, and we will have the name here. Let's drag the name and drop it here in the data. So in any fields which we missed in the query, or in the future, if we need to add additional fields or additional data sources to the query, we can easily do it and navigate again to the invoices, and press from here to navigate in this point to navigate to the query and select the new fields. Let's control the sort of the fields. It's easy. We just have here the account name. We need after account name we need the name. So we can press Alt and the up arrow and add the name here. And also we have the invoice name, invoice ID, then the sales ID, and we have this invoice date. Now all the information which we need and with the same sort which we need exist uh, in the report. Let's check one of the most benefits of using the query in the report. Suppose now we need to make some filters as we saw before in our elements in the reports, we can create a data contract to filter with any date or anything in the report. But here we have something called dynamics filter. In dynamic filters here, if we make it true, it will show in our report a feature. This feature will allow us to filter the data in the query by any table exists in the query and any field exists in the query. So previously, as we can see here, we didn't have any additional filtrations except the filter date effective, but we will not use this one. After we added this feature here or make it true, and after deploy the report, let's check together what the changes will be and how we can use this feature. Now we finished all the requirement here. Let's deploy the report once again and check the report. But here we didn't need to make build for the report because we just change in the report. We didn't change anything in the query or in the menu items or anything. We just change it in the report. So we will just make deploy for the. So once we run the report again, we will see here something appear with us was called records include. If we expand it and click on filter, as we can see here, we will find all the tables which we used in the query already here. We can select any of this table, and also we can select any of the fields exist in this table and make the filtration. And now, for example, here, if we just need to select one of the customers, we can easily select, for example, this customer, and also we can add additional customers if we just press comma and select one of the other customers. So our query here will just start to generate the records for only these customers. So let's check the result and press OK again. Now, as we can see here, we just have the invoices for this customer DE001 and also the other customer, which will be US001, and we have here the customer name, the invoice ID, and also we have the sales order and the date. For the design, as I mentioned later on, inshallah, we will talk about the design, how we can create our own design and control all the elements in the design. Now, report.